OK, a couple last ideas. This one could probably have its whole section all to itself. It's something we haven't really talked about, but you're welcome to go and check it out if you're interested. And it's the idea of recovering from an attack. So for all of this class, we've been talking about defending attacks. Today we talked about detecting attacks. But one thing we really haven't talked about is recovering from attacks. After an attack happens, you probably don't just want to shrug and say, oh, well, the attack happened. Let's move on. You would like to analyze what happened. What was wrong with your system that allowed the attack to happen? How do you stop this attack from happening again in the future? What went wrong? How do I fix it? These are important things we have to do as well. We haven't talked about them much here, but there are tools out there whose entire job is to help you analyze and recover from attacks in the future. Some ways to do this might involve reading logs to see what happened and using tools to analyze those logs to see what they say. So that's a whole topic in itself, but for this class, those are the highlights. Now, all of today was about detecting attacks, but if you're going through all the trouble of detecting attacks and flagging, why not also take the extra effort to stop the attack if you notice it? So if your system not only detects attacks, but also actively participates to stop them while they're happening, then you've designed something called an intrusion prevention system. So the detection system just reads the attacks passively and detects them. The prevention system still reads the attacks, detects them, but will also make active attempts to stop the attacks or block them. So this is a system you can use. Some drawbacks might be that you can't do this on retrospective analysis. So for example, if you're using logging, where you pull the logs every night and run a script on them, there's no way to really block the attack actively because it's already happened. So if your detection is after the fact, you can't really stop the attack as it's happening. Also, you now have to upgrade your detection system from being a passive participant, like an on-path attacker, and you have to upgrade them to being an active participant, similar to a man in the middle. So instead of just reading packets that are sent across the network, now this prevention system also has to have the ability to block packets or drop packets. So maybe the prevention system has to be able to change a firewall rule to block packets. Maybe we need to give it the ability to send reset packets to stop attacks. It might have to win race conditions, so it could be harder to build. Also, false positives could be more expensive depending on your setting. So if we're just detecting and there's a false positive, what's the worst that happens? It gets detected and someone has to spend some time reading the report and noticing that it's a false positive. But in a prevention system, if you have a false positive, you might accidentally go and block a legitimate user. So that user wanted to access your website, you accidentally block them, and now they're angry with you. So the false positive cost could be higher depending on your system. So prevention systems, once again, there are trade-offs. So I guess this is kind of like a joke. I don't know if it's that funny, but here's a prevention system with no false negatives. In other words, it will never miss an attack. Actually, I think these are backwards. I guess I'll fix it live on the video. Sorry. OK. So this one is a no false positive, and I think this one is no false negative. OK, good. So there's no false positives here because this is just a wire. There is no prevention system, so it's not doing anything. So it's not ever going to flag because it's just a wire. It's not doing anything to detect or block attacks. So there won't be any false positives. It's just a wire, and it never actually detects that there's an attack happening. And here's a false negative detector that has no false negatives. It's just a scissor. If you cut the wire, well, then now you're never going to have any attacks because you just cut the wire, so nobody can access your system. So this goes back to our point earlier, where false positive and false negative rates have some trade-offs involved.